Hey guys, it's Henry, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how you can use Make to automate your fitness business. Now, I grew my own coaching business to 10k a month, and now I'm helping other fitness businesses to grow their own using automation and AI. And in this video, we're going to be looking at Make specifically. Now, the reason why I prefer Make over Zapier, for example, a very common use automation platform, is that it is, first of all, cheaper, and second of all, it's a lot more powerful. For some of the automation I'm going to talk about today, it will be really difficult to build these out using Zapier just because of the complexity needed, and it can be quite clunky to build it. Inside of Make, it's really easy, and I'm going to show you just how simple it is and what it is capable of doing for your business. So there's 8 different systems we're going to look at today, and no code required at all. So with Make, you can essentially get all of your apps to talk to each other automatically. So it's a visual automation platform. So rather than having to use code or having to use complicated coding softwares, for example, you can just click and drag different softwares and connect them together and get them to talk to each other, send data, and do all sorts of cool automations. All with just drag and drops rather than having to do anything too complicated. And essentially it's really beginner friendly. Now, the cool things and why coaches use it specifically is that you can have things like huge integration capabilities. So you can use Stripe, Airtable, Kit, Calendly, Slack, Gmail, whatever platform you use, it'll be on here. The only downside is some of the training platforms like Trainerize don't have a integration into a higher tier platform. So that's where things like Zapier can be helpful for just more simple automations when you want to connect a training app. But for more complex automations like I'm going to show you today, definitely use Make. It's really visual. It does start free. You can get 2 scenarios completely for free. And it runs in the background 24/7 without you needing to do anything at all. So really powerful. So first things first, if you're doing any of these things manually, please stop doing it, because there's really simple ways you can free up all of this work so you can focus on more important things. Manually onboarding new clients is the first one. If you're setting up folders, sending emails, sending out contracts by hand every single time someone pays is super clunky and wastes a huge amount of your time. And again, you're being paid for your coaching, not for your administrative capabilities. So get it off your plate, get automation to do it for you. Number 2, reading every check-in form yourself. So rather than spending 10, 20, 30 minutes on every check-in every week, we can have a system that handles the heavy lifting, processes, reads the check-ins, and drafts responses in your own tone, ready to go, as opposed to you having to start from scratch every single time. Way more efficient, and again, the client only cares about getting the end results, not how long you spent doing it. Following up on unpaid invoices, again, chasing up payments is a real headache, and there's loads of ways we can do this completely automated. And 4, building content one piece at a time. So rather than starting from scratch every single time, we can repurpose content, and this is going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. So these are the 8 different scenarios. We've got onboarding, check-ins, lead capture, discovery calls, failed payment, YouTube to newsletter, Google reviews, and speed to lead, which is my favorite. So let's start with new client onboarding. First of all, this, if you could automate it, you're probably going to save around 45 minutes for every single client. So a lot of time back. If you're taking on typically say 3 to 5 clients a month, then that could be significant time back to focus on developing your business. What happens is, as soon as the payment is received inside of Stripe, Make kicks in, processes as the trigger, and we can trigger a load of different actions straight away. We can add the client to Airtable, which is the database I recommend to basically store all of the client data and track what's going on, what the key dates are, who's renewing, all the check-ins get stored in there, or call transcripts get stored in there. So you've got like a unified platform for all of this key information. Number 2, with Kit, you can send out a welcome email sequence straight away. So as soon as the payment triggers, you can start sending out emails across the first week with all the key information they need to know. We can send an onboarding link via Gmail, and we could send a Slack notification if you've got a team to the right team member who's going to be working with that client, and they get notified straight away with all of the information about that client, intake information, and so on, just like that. So that would be the first one. And it's what I'd probably recommend starting with, because the initial impression that a client's going to get from your program is a very important factor in how long they stay for. If you're thinking about retention being more important than acquisition in some ways, because if you're losing clients as soon as you gain them, it's going to be a very, very difficult business to continue to grow. If you're maintaining and retaining the clients that you've got because of a great first impression and other systems I'll talk about in a second, it's going to make your life so much easier. Clients will stay longer, they're going to have a great first impression, and ultimately pay you more for longer. So, second one then is about smart check-ins. Now, rather than doing everything manually, which is like sending out forms yourself and processing every form yourself, we can make this a lot smarter. We can save at least 5 hours a week. I think it's more like 10 to 20 hours a week sometimes, depending on client volume, because check-ins ultimately the biggest time block, if you like, for a coach working with upwards of 20 clients a week. And I know this because of my own coaching business. When I was working with sort of 30 one-to-one clients, a squad of athletes, clubs, doing some consulting work for a college in America, the check-ins were a massive amount of time being taken away from my ability to focus on continuing to grow the business and build my team and all that type of thing. So here's a way you can automate it. Use Tally as your intake form. It's a great tool. I think it's better than Typeform because it is more flexible, and I think it's arguably cheaper because you don't pay for unlimited forms and you can use almost all of its capabilities. You can also use it for your intake forms too. What it will then do is take the data in, it will pass it through Claude, a Claude module essentially. So it goes boom, boom, takes it into Claude. And what we can do then is draft a reply back to the client straight away, trained in your own tone and based on your database. Log the check-in form and the check-in data inside of Airtable. Send a Slack notification straight away to the relevant people, yourself, or if you've got a team, again, that this is a problem client. This is someone who's potentially going to leave. They're really struggling, and this is a great way that you can flag at-risk clients again. So what gets automated is AI is going to read and categorize the response. You get personalized replies. Data is logged in Airtable, and the coach is flagged if they are if the client is struggling. So this is a great way to again get a load of time off your plate. Number 3, lead capture to nurture. If someone opts into a lead magnet, which we can also make personalized with AI, which is pretty cool, but for the sake of today, we'll keep this simple. If they just simply opt in via a form like Tally to get a lead magnet from you, then again, what this can do is add that data to your Airtable database, tag them in Kit, send a Gmail link with the freebie, and notify you in Slack again. So no leads are falling through the cracks. It's not like someone opts into a lead magnet and then they just disappear into the ether and you can't follow up with them. This way, every single lead gets followed up with, tagged, and they get information straight away as soon as they opt in, which is really, really important. Discovery call pipeline is next. This is where as soon as someone books a call with you, again, we can update all these relevant systems. So it can create a record. It can schedule the event, send notifications to relevant people. It can remind the client or the lead of the call 24 hours and 2 hours in advance of that. So you get show up rates increasing. It can send prep questions to that lead with some questions to think about prior to the call, maybe some prep stuff you want them to work through. And then again, reminder emails at 24 hours, 2 hours before, and a Slack reminder. So this is going to really improve your show up rates as opposed to clients or leads booking calls and ghosting you. It means that you're going to turn up to the call prepared and ready to go. Next one is a failed payment recovery. This is really helping to recover payments that don't get processed for whatever reason. So rather than you being the person to have to chase this up, which is, it doesn't feel great, it's a really rubbish part of the coaching business. Instead, what you want to do is as soon as the Stripe payment fails, it kicks in the make scenario flow. You get a Slack notification straight away that this has happened because it's a high priority if there's a failed payment. And then we're going to get nudges basically at days 1, 3, and 7. And we can also get Stripe internally to reattempt to take the payment across the course of 7 days. So that way, Stripe's trying to retake the payment over a number of days. Emails go out with reminders with a link to update the payment details inside of Stripe, and you don't have to do anything unless, of course, it gets to a point where day 7 they haven't done anything differently, payments are still not going through. Then you can step in and do something a little bit more manual. But for most of this can happen in the background and recover up to 80% of failures without you having to lift a finger. Next up, we've got YouTube to newsletter. Here what you could do is as soon as a YouTube video is published, we could take the transcript from the video and use it to write yourself a marketing email or a series of marketing emails. That if it's a particularly long YouTube video, you might have a really long transcript. And what this can do then is take all the key bits and say make 3 to 5 different emails that you can then send out over the course of the week, taking the key bits from the video and repurposing it. So again, we can send it via Kit. We could use Gmail, for example, to send social captions and draft them. So you might use that to send to some key leads you wanted to send some information to. In Airtable, again, you have a content calendar. We can store that. And then in Slack, we can also send messages to relevant people saying, hey, this has just been published and the newsletter is ready to go out. So if you've got someone handling that for you, for example, or if it's just you, you just get a reminder to get that newsletter sent out that following week. Not only that, but if you've got the transcript, we could also create short form clips. So there's other really cool technologies like Opus Pro or Descript where you can actually take the long form clip like I'm making now, send it through to Opus Pro, for example. It will create 20 short form clips from the long form video, and then you've got your short form content ready to be published as well. So it takes the best bits, ranks it in terms of virality, and sends it across and pushes it out to your short form content channels. So you can basically repurpose things and working smarter rather than harder. Next up, we have got the review and testimonial machine. So there's 2 elements to this. This is requesting a testimonial and responding to the testimonial. Now, Google Reviews is really good for this because you can do both. You can request the testimonial really easily and you can respond to the testimonial automatically as well. So in the stage 1, you want to get the testimonial. Within Airtable, which is where we're storing all of our client data, we want to have a few ways that we want to trigger a request for a testimonial. It might be that they reach a particular milestone. Maybe they reach a weight goal, for example, and that's being tracked inside of Airtable. As soon as it happens, then that's the trigger for Make to trigger them to be sent a celebration email with a tally form to collect a testimonial, or a Google review link. It might be even easier. And you can share that win, again, within Slack with the rest of the team. That would be a great way to, when someone reaches a milestone, send a testimonial request. Now, the other way we could do this is that within the check-in system, if someone has had a great week and within Airtable, they've had a couple of weeks which has been really, really successful, then that's a natural trigger to request a testimonial again. So we could also do it inside the check-in system that we've built, also using Make. So as you can see, there's loads of interchangeable ways we can use these different platforms to make our lives really, really easy and to trigger things at the right time. Now, once the testimonial has been written, let's say they submit it via Tally or via Google Reviews, then again, Make will trigger and it will send their Google review link to them. Let's say if we wanted to use Tally, we could either duplicate that into Google Reviews, or what we could do is basically use Claude to then send send a reply back to that Google review or Tally form review saying, thank you, take the key bits out of that review, repurpose it into social proof, and send a reply back to that client saying, thank you for your review. And obviously, if you're using Google Reviews, it looks great because then you've got all of these reviews being replied to. Finally, then we've got speed to lead. This is my favorite. Now, the stat on this is that if you can get replies to new leads in under 60 seconds, you are 4 times more likely to convert them to client. And that research has been published. I think it was on Chili Pepper, the software who published this information. So 4 times more likely if you get a response in under 60 seconds as a lead yourself. So the way this works is if you submit a lead form on Tally, again, if it's a Facebook ad, if it's an Instagram DM, it could be a contact form on your website, wherever they're coming from, again, this is going to trigger straight away. And first of all, they need to be added to Airtable, so that's going to be over here. But the Claude agent is going to qualify that lead then. So what it's going to do is one of 2 things. One, it could be that you have a text-based agent which reaches out straight away and say, hey, thanks for opting in. Maybe they opted into a webinar, maybe they opted into a VSL, maybe they opted into a lead magnet. They get a WhatsApp message, let's say, or they get a DM straight back on Instagram using something like ManyChat. And it says, thanks for submitting this, and ask them some questions. And that's then going to qualify the lead. Now, if you're someone who has just submitted a coach inquiry form, then you're obviously red hot, like you want to join the program. And so you want to get a response really quickly. You don't want to be waiting 24 hours to get a response. You want to be getting fast answers, don't you? So what this can do is qualify the lead for you, ask about things like what their goals are, any kind of key qualifying questions. And then if they are a hot lead and they have been qualified by the agent, you can send a link to book a call with you straight away. If they're a warm lead and perhaps it's just a lead magnet, then the AI agent will then push them into Kit and send them a nurture sequence, store them in Airtable again. So we've got this kind of unified view of all of our leads and clients. And if there is a hot lead who's booked a call, then again, notify us inside of Slack and we'll be able to action that and close that lead. So that's a really powerful way we can use this technology as well. So the thing that I would recommend you to do is to basically start with one. So you don't need to run all of these at once. Pick the one that costs you the most time and set that up first. So create a free Make account at make.com. Pick your biggest time drain from those 8 and then build it once and it will just run forever. And if you are interested in having these built out for you, then that is what I do and what me and my team do for you. We've helped a number of coaches now to build out these systems so that they don't have to do it themselves, which allows you to grow your business without the grind, essentially. So if you're interested, use the link down below to book a call and we can have a chat about your business, what your main bottlenecks are, and how we can help you.